You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm Brian Call. I'm your host. I got Brad Hunt here with me today. And today, we're shooting bows in the backyard, having a little archery discussion. Today, we're going to talk about, well, I've been using the UV slider bow sight. We've used the option as well. You got the option on yours.
Yep, got the 8S oval.
The oval. I had the circle. I'm actually getting ready to mount my option to this and sight in a different bunch of arrows.
Yep.
And just messing around with it. Give you my impressions. I got the UV slider last year, and they made some updates to it. Pins were a little brighter. Some things that, you know, weren't quite dialed in the way that they UltraView wanted. They fixed it. I'm liking the sight. My only issue is really lining up the Peep with the sight housing. I like a real defined
outer circle, like border that you can just truly every time.
That's why I can't shoot the oval on the option. It's a round Peep with an oval sight housing. Yep. I cannot get it to line up. Like my brain, I'm all over the place. Like I'm all over. But the circle on circle, tight. I shoot really good groups. If you're interested in learning about elk hunting, myself, Ryan Lampers, Brad, and Mark Livesey are putting on a instructional seminar.
July 13th and 14th, Meridian, Idaho, Shields. All you have to do is go to treelineacademy.net. All the information's there. It's limited. We only got around 60 tickets this time, and it's filling up pretty fast.
Get you all set up for hunting elk. It's going to be fun. There's invaluable information, one-on-one instruction. Go sign up at treelineacademy.net, and hopefully we'll see you there. I really like the option sight. For hunting, I really like the option sight.
Yeah.
Now, I do like the UltraView. I'm running it. I'm testing it. It is sort of a more of a target bow sight.
Yeah.
It's a hunting sight, but it's also good for longer range shooting.
Right.
It seems you got the bonus pin. You get a little more reach. You got, well,
just the ergonomics of it and stuff. Like it is
nice.
It's smooth. It's pretty thought out, like the dial system and stuff. I think I haven't used it much, but spent enough time around you watching you use it. I've just been shooting the option archery. Tried both the 6S, which is a circular, and then been shooting the 8S for the last year and this year. Have some friends that like Jeremiah Plyer been shooting the Canyon Pounder, and he really likes that sight. I just haven't had my hands on it to shoot it, but I really like the 8S. I like the oval because it gives me more distance to travel on this bow. So I have two of them. I have this one set up for these 417 grain arrows, and then I have the other one that I can just mount and put on for my 465 grain arrows, 464 grain arrows, whatever they are. And so I don't have to like re-sight in every time I change arrows. So, and you're doing the same.
Yeah, I have another barrel and another sight. So I'm going to set up a couple of sights for different weighted arrows. So I have these 410 grains that shoot a little flatter, a little faster, and gets me an extra 10 or 15 yards out of tack in there. So I can shoot out to 120 if I wanted to. And my other setup with the heavier arrow for hunting, it's like 447 grain. That arrow flies a little slower. And so I have a sight set up for that particular setup. And they seem to be shooting through paper and tuning just fine. So I don't know. I like this UltraView. It's expensive.
I mean, I think any good quality sight, because the option archery is not cheap either. I mean, as far as dollar wise, they're pretty dang close. They're in the same ballpark. But I think quality in the field, like nothing makes me more mad than a gear or a sight or whatever it may be, gear failure in the field. Like if I screw up, yeah, I hope to not screw up, but if my gear fails me, man, I get ticked off about that. Because it's like, you pay all this money for good gear and then it fails. And so I'm always a buy once, cry once. Man, we've hammered, like I said, this side, I've had it 2 years now and hammered it. and just like shooting it. But I will say, I have on this site, I have the .019 pins. It's great, 40, 50 yards and in. I love it. But on the other site, I have the .010, and for distance, man, it's just, I shoot so much tighter groups at distance with the smaller pins, because when you get further back, your target gets smaller. That pin's covering that sight haloing, for me, becomes a big problem. That's why I do like the Garmin Zero, because I can adjust the brightness of the pins.
Yeah, I'd say the setup of this with the sight tape was really easy. You know, the middle pin is fixed, but then you have your top and your bottom. So there's 3 pins, plus a bonus pin at the bottom. And there's been a lot of videos on YouTube on this UltraView site. You can go and watch those guys do an in-depth review. I'm not that guy, but I really like it. Might be a little dark for a hunting situation. They brighten the pins. You know, when I can use the light, which I can in Utah, I have a hunt here, I can do that. But there are some states where, like Idaho, Montana, where it's illegal to use the light. The pins get a little dark.
Yeah.
And so without leveraging the light, it makes it really tough for a Western hunt, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, because we haven't pulled this new one off, the light and battery pack. We haven't pulled it off. I'm curious to see how much those pins do brighten up naturally once that is off.
Once you've done that.
Because it's a different housing that goes on there, so you don't have as much shadow through the barrel. But yeah, I mean, I just, Western hunting, I've found that I like having more fixed pins. So like on the option, I got 20 through 60, and then my 70 is my floater pin, and I can run that floater with the option. I can run it all the way up to 20. I can single pin it if I want. Like, this will flip out, as you see here. But I just have found elk move so much. I like the ability to have 20 through 60 or 20 through 70.
I mean, what I like about the option sight, like I said, it's easier for me to line the peep and the sight housing together. And that's a me thing, because I know tons of guys that don't have trouble with that at all with the UV.
Yeah.
With the UltraView. I do.
Yeah, with this option.
It's a little bit harder. With the option, I don't have as much trouble. There's a clear line, peep lines up.
Vice versa. With the UV, you don't have the problem. With the oval, this option, you do have the problem.
No. Vice versa. I have a problem lining the peep up with the UltraView. I don't have a problem lining them up.
Gotcha.
Yes, the oval. I don't need the oval.
Gotcha.
My option, which is circular.
Yes, correct.
It is way easier for you to line up the peep on.
Yeah.
The other thing too is you're not going to accidentally leave the sight dialed.
Yeah.
Because your single pin moves in the sight housing, which is a massive deal for those of us who have done that on a monster bull before.
I think all of us that have used the slider,
everyone has
are guilty
to roll a slider before. Everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And
at least
that's
once.
where,
if you haven't, you're a liar.
Yes. If, like with the option, yes, you still have that potential to not dial it back. Like if you're using it as a single pin and you slide it to 40 yards and you draw back and crap, I got to shoot at 70. Yeah, your pin's going to be at 40 yards. But if you have your sight flipped in where you have 20 through 70, then you're dialed. You're 20 through 70 yards. You got it covered.
Yeah, you're not going to make that mistake.
Where a 3-pin slider, a black gold, the UV or whatever, you have it slid out to 80 yards. Well, your top pin is going to be 60 yards somewhere in there, and 60 and in, you don't have a pin.
The problem is for Total Archery Challenge, you know, I might be able to get my option out to 95 yards or so, maybe 100 with the speed I'm running right now.
Yeah.
And that is my max.
Yep. That's why.
And that's why with the UV slider, the whole housing, I probably won't even get that far.
Yeah.
You know, I'll probably get to 85, 90, because this is slow.
Yep. Depending on the bow you're shooting. But that's one thing I would say about the Prime is it has that center grip. So your arrow is truly higher in the riser. And so you're cutting yardage. But some guys that have a shorter draw length, they're going to actually get more yardage than I'm going to with an 1.5 inch longer draw length, because the string angle, all that stuff, that's a whole nother conversation. But with this sight, like that's the one downside I've found with this option is there's not enough mounting system the way it's designed. again, just on this one, the bow, the setup that I have, it doesn't have enough bracket to go low enough. Like I could still get another 1/2 inch of clearance down, but it doesn't allow me through the mounting system on this sight. I'm at the top on my sight. I'm at, down as far as I can go on the bracket. And like I said, I still got a lot of distance down below, but it doesn't allow me to go further. But right now, that's why I switched to these Victory arrows for like tack, because they're shooting so much faster that I can get about 114 yards, I think is what I shot yesterday. I was able to hit with the G5s. I'm only getting about 105 yards out of it. So lighter arrow, further setup.
Yeah. I like them all. I mean, the option has been fun. I do like, I like that option for hunting. I like the UV Ultra View for tack. It's been fun to tinker around with various setups.
Yeah.
And kind of find what's optimal. What does Staten say? He's like, always be tinkering.
ABT, always be tinkering. And with archery, you can.
Yeah, it is fun. It's fun to mess around with that. So,
yep.
But I got nothing but praise for both sites. They're just quite a bit different from one another. But I've been a huge fan of the option stuff for a while. I like the option quiver too, the quivalizer.
Yeah.
That thing I really like, especially on that PSE Mach 34. Really like that. Such a light bow. I really like the stabilization out front, the option there. I've been running the RX8 Hoyt, and I shot my bears with that bow, and then I've got this Prime RVX. They all have their pros and cons.
I think any bow on the market today,
they're all pretty good.
I
mean, they all honestly they all have their unique.
Yes. Some are a little more forgiving than others. Yeah,
and your body, how you shoot, it could be a little different than the next guy.
String angles, everything changes per bow.
It's hard to like say, but all these bows shoot well, but they all have their own little differences.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes time to sort of figure out, well, how much poundage, what's the hold weight that I want to have?
Yeah.
What's the draw length, 1/4 inch increments, adjusting back and forth to figure out where you're comfortable. Like all these things are little things that will kind of help you for better success, that as you keep tinkering, you kind of figure out what works. And it's rough switching bows. I don't like doing it because when I get like that Mach 34, I'm shooting lights out with.
Yep.
Then I got the RX8. It's taken me some time. I've got the Prime. I'm learning it. And I love, this is why we're shooting multiple bows. It's fun. But man, when you get it dialed,
there's something
something powerful about that, because you just walk up, put it on, and drill. And you just have so much confidence in your setup when you're shooting that way.
And that's the thing, is like we have, with what we do, and we're blessed to be able to take so much time with different bows, different setups, and really fine tune and figure out what works for us. There's a lot of folks out there that they don't have that, the money, the time to do that. And, once you find a setup that works for you, like, stick with it, because, there's something about the confidence in the bow that goes a long ways in hunting.
Well, and don't be afraid to switch out gear and bows.
Not at all.
Like sometimes you're like, I'm just not that good a shooter. Well, it could just be that the bow and you are not very good together.
In tune together, exactly.
And that's just comes with practice and playing around with stuff. Now, I would say this, that, we're fortunate because we get gear and we get to test it and use it. But hopefully you listen to the show and you kind of hear our experience, what we're going through, and you go, okay, I could take it or I could leave it. Like their experience, what they got going on. Oh, I never thought about that before. Well, and there's something there that you're finding beneficial.
I've said this a few times, but a good bow shop, or somebody that is good at tuning your bow and getting it set up properly for you, goes a long ways, because I've been in a lot of shops that that's not the case. And overdraw
a lot of big box stores, that's not where you want to go. If you're in Utah and you can get there, go to Wild Arrow. It's worth the day or two. Get up there, spend the day, have them build, meet with them. They'll do a little bit of extra training with you. They'll teach you, they'll make sure it's tuned. There's
a lot. Like if your bow's not tuned how it should be, man, it can make your shooting so frustrating, because you have groups that are this big, But in all reality, you're actually a dang good shooter. It's just your bow's not tuned.
Yep.
So,
okay.
anyway,
folks, thanks for tuning in. Leave us a comment below in the YouTube comments, and we try to respond to those when we can. Got any questions, hit us up down there. And good luck to you guys. Stay gritty.